Welcome to Furious Fiction. I'm Jules Graham, and with me is Mark Mustian. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Jules. Good. How are you?
Who are we talking to today?
We're talking to Jess Walter. He's the author of Beautiful Ruins, a novel. And I actually want to talk just a minute about an earlier novel of his called The Financial Lives of the Poets. Jess, welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, Jules.
Hey there.
And tell us, in Financial Lives, it's a story of a guy who gets laid off from a newspaper and does a lot of things, including starts to sell pot to make money. And were you a newspaper guy, Jess?
I was a newspaper guy. I was not a pot dealer.
Okay. So good.
Got it established.
And you know, it's just the whole kind of newspaper situation. I mean, did you leave? Did you just decide to become a writer, or what happened there?
I left back in the early '90s. So I've been gone for a long time, but I've always considered reporters kind of my tribe, and so to watch what newspapers have gone through in the last 20 years was so painful to me, and it was kind of a love letter to a profession that I still think is one of the great ways to make a living and contribute so much to the world.
Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful book, Financial Lives of the Poets. But let's talk about Beautiful Ruins.
Yeah, Beautiful Ruins. There was such a feeling of melancholy through it. I felt like I wanted to grab Pasquale and just say something. Don't always watch, just say something.
Yeah. I love feeling wistful myself, and I think when it's kind of a nostalgic book, and I think that wistful, nostalgic feeling. But more than that, I was really interested in sort of romance as its potential. In physics, something before it moves, when you pull the string on a bow, that has the most energy. And I felt it was sort of the same way with love and romance too, that those things maybe were the most powerful before they were acted on. And so that was the story I wanted to tell about Dee and Pasquale.
Well, for the viewers who haven't read this, and you should, Beautiful Ruins by Jess Walter. There's a lot of Hollywood in this. Part of the story is takes place in Italy when the movie Cleopatra is being filmed, and just the whole Richard Burton stuff is just really awesome.
1962.
I mean, did you do a lot of research, watch a lot of movies? How did you decide on that?
Yeah, all of the above. Sometimes it can be a pretty great job being a novelist. So I had to go to Italy a few times. I had to watch a lot of 1960s, watched a lot of Fellini, all of Richard Burton's movies, and I did have to sit through Cleopatra, so it wasn't all fun. But once I realized I wanted to write about this time in Italy in the 60s, and I was writing about an actress. I had done some work in Hollywood myself, and I wanted to say some things about sort of the culture and the way Hollywood reflects back at us.
That was my question too, because it's so clear to me that you have had experience in Hollywood, because you nail Hollywood with such sort of an acid tongue sometimes. It was very clear. Yeah,
and it was a way to sort of use a lot of the things that I'd observed over the years, and to tell a story that, again, to me was sort of nostalgic and romantic about this time.
One of my favorite characters in the book is Pat Bender, who's kind of not to give this away, but the son who's trying to kind of find his way there, and the whole music part of that too. I mean, I could just identify with the guy who wants to make it big, and just any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so many of my friends, and myself included, are, we all wanted to make our way in the arts of some kind. And so the book is full of writers and screenwriters and playwrights and actresses. And I wanted a musician. And Pat is, someone who came up in Seattle in the early '90s and gets angry when anyone calls his band a grunge band.
The grunge band, yeah. And Jess, this book has movie written all over it. When will we see it as a movie?
I don't know. I mean, there's some talk, certainly. It's it's sort of funny to write a book that in some way satirizes Hollywood and then turn it into a film. But it could happen. Yeah, I've been down that road enough to know that until you're in the theater holding popcorn, that nothing's a sure thing.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for being with us. Our author is Jess Walter, Beautiful Ruins. He's also the author of Financial Lives of the Poets. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.